chances are really off today. Someone, I'm not gonna name names, may have broken the bulb for the studio light or whatever, the box light that I use. So I'm just using raw dog and regular overhead lights. So we're just gonna deal with that today. Hi. My name is Leah. I am the creator of this podcast, the Eventual podcast. You can find me on Instagram as Miss_LJV, and on Ravelry as Eventual. Today I am excited to talk to you about several things. So we'll see how we do. I decided to wear a shawl today instead of a sweater because I have many great shawls, so I want to give them the appropriate airtime that they deserve as well. Although I feel like all of these colors are they're so much brighter than I feel like the camera is capturing. But this is the colorful Keepsake shawl by Tina Say. It is a very large shawl. Like it goes all the way down my back. It takes 3 full skeins of yarn. So when I made it, it was a mystery knit along, so it was super fun. And I just picked 3 random like one-off skeins that I didn't feel like I necessarily had a use for. And this is, I believe, fingering weight. And yeah, they ended up working out really well together. I really liked them, and I honestly really like this shawl. This is the kind of thing that I actually might knit more than once. I'm just using some old clasp I got, like leather, whatever, I got off of Etsy. There are so many people who do shawl clasps that like repurpose like old belts and stuff like that. So yeah. As always, I just showered recently, so my hair's like trying to Willy Wonka up, get all frizzy and like wavy. But I'm happy to be here. I am drinking out of this beautiful Staircase ceramics mug that I just got. I don't know how easily you can see, but it's like very like sparkly. The like glaze is like very shiny. And of course I got it for Valentine's Day. I love this handle. I thought it, like, first of all, this mug is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's gigantic. It's like a mini cauldron. But the handle is like very comfortable. It's like, I feel like most handmade ones are like maybe wider and flatter, and this is like kind of rounded, and so I don't know, it just feels really nice. I just got my coffee in it. I haven't had coffee today. I mean, it's decaf, but Swiss water decaf, and it's very yummy. It is hard to believe in a week my son is going to be 10 months old. I feel everyone talked about how long January was, but I felt like January flew by. Like it's already middle of February basically of 2024. That is wild. So wild. So let's get into what I'm working on. I didn't actually finish anything over the last week, but I did do a decent amount of crafting. So kind of almost on its way to being finished is my little granny square bag that I'm making. So I have like the bag put together here. I used a pattern, I'm listing it, it's just called Granny Square Bag by Carolyn Calderon on Ravelry, but like the only thing that I used that pattern for is like how to lay out the squares. So their pattern, there's a free version on a blog, so I'm not like giving any secret sauce away. Wants you to do 4 rounds and then do a join as you go for the 5th round. But because I was using Red Heart's Granny Square all-in-one whatever yarn, I obviously did all 5 rows all at once because you have to. So what I did was I laid out all the squares and then I joined them using a slip stitch. It's the technique I learned when I did the Daphne Afghan by Tony Lipsy. So I'm really liking how this turned out. It's not blocked, I assume you can tell because it's not like laying flat exactly. But I will block it soon. And you also, I feel like it's really obvious in camera, a little bit less obvious in person, but I just happen to have this like super bright white yarn, and the yarn in the granny square is a little bit off-white almost, like it's called frost or something like that, but it's not like a pure white, and so you can tell that there's a difference in color. I'm hoping that that'll actually even out. Like I'm honestly hoping the colors bleed a little bit when I block it. But regardless, it's not gonna matter when it's finished. I love how this worked. I did really well, I feel like, at the joins, doing the joins the way that I wanted to. The border is a slip stitch border, and then it's like chain one, then slip stitch, chain one, and slip stitch into each stitch. That's probably a common border, but I don't crochet that often, so I don't really know. But yeah, it gives it like a little bit of a, like, I don't know, bumpy detail. And I've weaved in all my ends already, which was not bad because it was the all-in-one granny square yarn. I'm gonna try to figure out how to line it. I saved some video on Facebook, I think, that was talking about like a no-sew, like lining something with fabric or something. I don't even remember what like the material was, but it's obviously not additional crochet. So I got that done. And then I also started the straps. So again, the pattern, I thought, oh, well, maybe I like the way the straps look. Maybe the pattern can help me. The pattern wants you to basically do a tube. It kind of reminds me, it's honestly like an amigurumi tube, like as if you're doing like a leg for amigurumi, but like very long. And I was super not interested in that. I like tried it for a few rows and I was like, nah. I mean, it's not just an amigurumi tube. It's like, it is kind of rope shaped, like it has a little, the way that it wants you to join each round sort of results in ridges twisting up, and that looks cool, but it was like too much for me to care about. And it's like I could just do, you know, a knitted I-cord if I wanted a tube, but I didn't want a tube. So I just googled like crochet purse strap or something like that, and I discovered thermal stitch. So look at this. Thermal stitch is like nice. Look at how nice that is. It's very like solid, sturdy, and it's like a very good width, and it looks very like a strap. I'm almost done with this one, I feel like, because I don't want it to be very long. You know, like getting close. Like I want it to be able to just sort of tuck under my arm. So, and then I'll measure it, and then I'll make a second one. So this is thermal stitch. Thermal stitch is like really fun and interesting. It's like each row, after you chain one, and then you stick the hook in the back loop of your first stitch, and then you stick it in the loop from the row below. And it's sort of, it kind of reminds me of double knitting, but there's actually nothing in between. But it almost feels like there's a gap between the two edges, and you just do that on either side, and it's sort of like pulling it together, and it makes it really thick. I feel like I'm not describing that correctly at all, but I mean, it's so cool. So I'm very excited about where my bag is going, and I'm excited about having a bag. And again, everybody's talking shit about the colors. I don't know, I like them. I think it's fine. So that's my bag. Speaking, and so I'm very happy with the progress. Like I had hoped to have it like finished by this time, but I feel like I made a good amount of progress. And again, I'm a slow crocheter, so like I gotta remember that I'm not a very fast crocheter. And I did get started on the squares for Steve's bag, so I can't remember off the top of my head what this color is. I actually have the skein over there, I'll go grab it. But I have 5 squares done for Steve's bag. His is gonna be a rectangular bag, but again, I'm gonna try to line it so that it doesn't stretch too much when being used. And this is the color that he picked out, the color that he wanted. I'll go grab that really quick. All right, his color is Hyperviolet with black as the main color. So that sounds about right. He loves purples and violets and whatnot. I'm like counting in my head, like how many squares is his actually going to need? It's like what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay, so my bag I think took 13 squares and these make 15. I bet his will also need like 13 to 15. I don't think it will need more than that. And it will need, I bet, like 12 minimum. So I want his to be sort of rectangular shape with the front like folding completely over instead of just like ending at the top. I'm sure again that there's a bunch of free patterns out there. I don't have like a specific pattern in mind, but I've seen them. So that's my plan for his. Honestly, HDDC, Heather, HGDC, I can't remember her last name, but Heather something Designs Crochet. I think she might have a pattern for a bag. We'll see. But yeah, that's my crochet. I don't know why, but the strap just makes me so happy. It's just so fun. I have been doing also a decent bit of knitting. It doesn't look like that much, but I swear it is. So one thing I haven't brought up in a long time, let's see, when did I start this? I started it, did a decent amount of it, and then set it down for a while. And then now it's my car knitting. I should have had it as my car knitting for a while, but it is, I started it in January, a year ago. I started it a year ago. So this, I'm calling this my berry cowl because the yarns sort of remind me of berries. I want to be careful. This is 100% silk lace, and so it is very, very slippery, and I do not want to lose stitches. Okay. So this is 2 yarns held together. So this is 2 yarns. This is Claudia hand painted yarns, lace, silk held together. And so when I had put it down, I had stopped here. So I put this little calcifer stitch marker there just to show my progress, because this is like 300 and something stitches in lace weight held together, and it just feels like you're never like it's just staying the same width. So I think it's really good sometimes to put a stitch marker to show your progress. You can prove to yourself like, no, I'm actually like adding rows. But this is great card knitting because it's just stockinette the whole way through. So I do have it as like the Hampton cowl, which is like a 7 or 9. It's an insane amount of stitches, amount of dollars for it being a pattern. Sorry, it's not even really a pattern. It's just stockinette with a couple rows at the bottom of garter. At the bottom of the top is garter. Like, I'm sorry, that is not, they did not invent that pattern. I'm charging for it. It's like, I don't want to say that I paid for the pattern because I don't feel like I did. It came with like the yarn. I bought 2 sets of this because, and I want to say the yarn was like $60. This was a long time ago, from Stephen B. And it was either right on, I think it was right on the wrapper. But here is the yarns. So again, they're lace Claudia hand paints, and I'm just gonna knit until I run out of yarn. But yeah, since I've started it again, since I put it in the car a few weeks ago, I have knit a couple inches, and this is how much I've got. And again, I have a finished one in green, and it was like a green yellow held together as well. And that one I can like make into a infinity scarf, like rotate it once, so it's double, wearing it double. But Steve can't, and he really likes like soft things around his neck. So I did this one. I made my own number of stitches, and the other one also I knit way back when I was a less skilled knitter and less understanding of like how different fibers work. And silk is so annoying. Like, it's so soft, so drapey, but it tangles and felts really easily together, and is also so slippery. So with the one that I made myself, I had to break the yarn so many times because it got really knotted, or the skeins started falling apart and I wasn't managing them appropriately. So this one I'm working super hard to not have that same issue with, because I want to use every single bit of this yarn as much as possible, instead of having to throw like large chunks of it away. And I shouldn't say large, but it was not nothing back then. And I know when I was skeins it up, I think I had to break one of them once, or maybe it was broken. I think when I was skeins it up, I had to break the yarn at least one time, and I've already like done the weave and steven on that and gone through it. So I think the rest of the skeins should be good to go. But yeah, I'm happy that it is now my car knitting, because then I'll actually make progress on it, and Steve/me will have something to wear soon. All right, I'm so distracted because it's like two of my projects are somehow wrapped around each other when they were nowhere. Like, I just took this out of my car, and the other one was definitely not in my car. So how did these get like wrapped around each other? What? It's like with headphones, like how are headphones always tangled no matter what you do? Okay, I fixed it. So yeah, that is my Hampton cowl, I guess. Let's see, what else? Okay, the last thing that I am like actively working on is my Prismatic sweater by Wool & Pine. Just want to make sure that I have my... Yep, I knew it. I'm dropping stitches. Hold on. Gotta pick these stitches up because it's color work. Don't want to drop them down. Dealing with color work is annoying. Okay. All right. My Prismatic sweater by Wool & Pine. I'm knitting the size large. It has it's a fingering weight sweater, so it is a lot of stitches. And it doesn't say to do so in the pattern, but I did put stitch markers for every repeat because it's just so much easier to keep track of. It's in my head that way. Like, I feel like in a lot of patterns you don't need to do that. It's really easy to track the repeats, but I feel like when you start to get into like the couple hundred stitches or whatever, that it's just like if you accidentally mess it up, it's hard to tell that you did, or like where's the beginning of each repeat. And it's like fine, it's just like slower to think back, and then also you have to like just think more. And for this, it's just like, oh, I know when I'm coming to the end of a repeat, I know that if I end a row and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right, I only have to take back the one repeat instead of like, wait, where did I mess up? Because you get like, you know, on autopilot. So I just did that on this. Normally I don't because it slows me down, but on something like this, yes. But look how beautiful. I have 10 more rows of the color work left, and then I'm gonna try it on and see where it sits. The pattern like specifically says like if your yoke sits too high, and it gives you a description of where. It just says to add more stockinette before the armholes, otherwise the armholes will be way too small, and also it'll probably sit weird. My row gauge, the up and the this is often shorter, so I'm very curious how much I'll need to add. I just assume I'm gonna need to add stockinette, and then it's also like, I wonder if I can add a repeat of one set, not like the full thing, but like maybe, I don't know, one additional round of this or something. I don't know, it probably won't work. And because like I have a big chest, I'm just so curious how it's gonna like sit on, like is it just gonna sit like way up here? Like yeah, we'll find out. But either way, it's like looking so beautiful. And the dividing, this is not black, it's a purple. And I'm so pissed. I lost the tag for this. I have no idea. Like, I mean, by lost, I mean one of us threw it away before I could get it in Ravelry, and I have no idea what yarn it is. Like, I have a couple guesses what it could be, but I have no proof. So anyway, I don't know. It's just a beautiful rainbowy sort of stained glass color yarn. It looks like this. So super variegated. It's like, is this passionate? Is this, yeah, I don't know. And then the purple. This is a Knit Circus semi-solid. I almost never get semi-solids from Knit Circus, but I think it was on sale slash, yeah, and it's a BFL. I don't really like BFL that much. It's very, I won't say it's scratchy, but it is like fuzzy and it catches, like it wants to felt so bad. It's always catching. And the twist is super, I guess it's loose. So when I'm using it, it tightens up, and then it's very twisty in the color work. Like it's very, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like not, it just doesn't feel ideal. It just constantly wraps around itself. But it's fine. And then this is a bee woolen silvery gray yarn. And I'm really excited because I only have 10, I should say only, but it does, again, take a while to do a row. And, oh, I had thought I'd put a stitch marker to show progress here, but I guess I did not. Either way, I've made a decent amount of progress since last time. But yeah, once I'm done with the color work, I mean, see, that's the thing. People complain about fingering weight sweaters, but it's once you're done with any color work, or if you don't have a ton of texture, it goes really fast because again, you're just knit forever. And if you're doing something else at the same time, then the time goes by super fast. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a decent variety of things. I don't have that much time in a day to be, you know, doing my hobbies on account of having a child, but I do my best. We're also, so I mean, okay, that's everything for knitting. That seems pretty short, but talking about that plus life stuff here. But, you know, Steve and I are getting married in a few months, like March, April, May. Yeah, 3.5 months. Oh my God. It's so crazy. So we've been setting aside part of our evenings to work out, and like we walk basically every single day, at least a mile, more if we can. It's definitely more generally, but with like breaks, because like we stop and like play or, you know, whatever. And a lot of the time, like I'm wearing him, which is nice. Quinn's like 19 pounds, so it just like adds additional weight. But that is not like strength training or otherwise like getting your heart rate really up. So we've been setting aside time for that in the evenings, and that takes time because you have to work out and then you have to shower and then you have to get ready. Like, and by getting ready, I mean just, you know, like brushing your hair, deodorant, brushing your teeth, getting pajamas, whatever. So that, I mean, that takes part of our evening. We only have like 3 hours after Quinn goes to bed to do everything that we want to do. Which is great. Like he sleeps through the night, so that's, and he's very consistent, and you know, he's generally a 12-hour sleeper, but you know, it's still not that much time. Otherwise, I've still been trucking along in Dark Souls. That's been a good time. I'm not too much further than the last time I podcasted a week ago because I've been doing more crafting. Plus, Steve has been playing, he played the open beta for Stormgate, but now he's also in the closed beta or something like that. or like the beta has closed, but he still has a private code, something. So he's playing Stormgate. That's on the computer, and his computer is in the game room, and the game room doesn't really have, like, it just has the computer and all of our games. So it's not really like a place for me to hang out. And typically we're always hanging out together, even if we're doing different things. But for computer games specifically, he generally plays them by himself, especially a game like that. Like, it's RTS, or real-time strategy, and it's against other people. So it's not really the kind of thing that you can really talk while playing through, because you need to be thinking all the time and like executing macro and micro strategies. So it wouldn't even be worth it for me to hang out in there, because he wouldn't really be able to talk to me that much. And so as almost always, whenever he is doing something that isn't hanging out with me, and it's not him streaming, because I'm usually watching him stream, because I'm often interested in the games that he is streaming and like wanting to hang out with him in the stream and stuff like that, which he does once a week on Thursdays. I tend to like watch shows that have been like on my radar for a long time, that he's often probably would be interested in them, but we prioritize other things when we're hanging out together. So a lot of times I'll watch a show, and then if I like it a lot, I might invite him to watch some episodes with me, and then may or may not start the show over if he's really interested. But typically he's like interested enough, he knows that I will catch him up on all of the story points, and it's impossible for me not to like be too, like, I'm like, I gotta give all these details. So he ends up getting a very detailed description of everything that happens. So a lot of times it doesn't even matter if he watches everything, because I will give him a play-by-play of the previous episodes. But so I had been watching the morning show. That's on, is it on Apple TV? I think it is. And it's fine. I started season 2. I think there's 3 seasons, but it is so heavy. It's such a heavy show. Like, it has some funny moments, but it's got a lot of drama, and some things it's just like too close to home. And some of it is just like too real, you know, like, I don't want all these sad situations right now, you know. I kind of always feel that way. So I've put that on pause for now. And on Max, there's something I was like going to look up something on Max, and then on my either For You or whatever, The Sex Lives of College Girls, I think is what it's called, the show by Mindy Kaling, came up again, and I'd always wanted to see it. I heard that the cast was really funny, and it came out at least 5 years ago, I think. And so it was right at the beginning of finally adding like major casts of people of color into shows, versus like more being like tokens. And so it was like I know it was a big and primarily female cast, women cast, and it has a lot of tackles issues of like being gay, being non-binary, like pronouns and stuff. I will say it's really funny. I love every single character in that show. I think they are all great. I don't think there is a weak character, particularly in the main cast. And Bella, the Indian character, and I put that in quotes because, like, reading Mindy Kaling's books, she talks about how she comes across as racist a lot because she likes poking fun at race stuff. And so anyway, I just feel like Bella, the character who is Indian, and Mindy Kaling is Indian, is a stand-in for how Mindy, I feel like, thought of herself, even though she didn't do a lot of those things in college, at least according to her books. So it's just like how she maybe felt inside in like an exaggerated version of herself. And then there is a character that we have recently gotten to know a little better who is clearly a stand-in for BJ Novak, who didn't go to her college, but just like the way that they interact with each other is definitely like some lines I'm like, BJ has definitely said that to Mindy, you know, stuff like that based upon what I've read in interviews and stuff like that. But anyway, it deals with some heavy topics, I feel like very realistically, and also with humor, and it also is just generally very funny. It does, I mean, it's also, I feel like, and maybe she said this, I haven't like read, I don't know like what she was going for, but it is definitely college Sex and the City. And I know Mindy loved Sex and the City very, very much. I know that was like a very important show to her back in the 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. And the show takes place at a very upscale, private college in Vermont, I believe, and she went to, it's again like I don't know if it was I don't know what college she went to, but again, she is writing about some experiences she had at like, you know, upscale private colleges. Again, anyway, it's so funny. It's really good. There's only 2 seasons. I'm very curious as to whether like it just ended or it was canceled. If it was canceled, that's too bad because I really want to know more about how their lives went. If it was only 2 seasons, that's totally fine. I've seen a lot of anime. A lot of anime only has a season or 2, so I get it. But I've been enjoying that. It's been a good way to spend my time while doing other things, like while knitting and whatnot. But sometimes I am just staring at the show, and I have realized that I haven't been knitting. I've just been watching because it's new, and that's another reason why I like to watch the same things over and over again, or like at least have it on in the background while I'm watching Steve do something, because otherwise I stop and watch. I don't have to, like, if I were to watch The Office or King of the Hill or Sex and the City, Friends, Parks and Rec, any of those shows, I've seen them so many times that I can picture what's happening in the scene, you know, like I have all of that. But a new show, I do not have that, and I want to see how the characters look, interact, how they deliver the lines. But I've also been watching Steve picked up again. We started like a while ago, like at least a year ago. Oh, here comes Nero. Yakuza Like a Dragon. I think is it the 7th game in the Yakuza series? We started playing the Yakuza series so late. Like, I want to say in like 2016, 2017, 2018-ish. That was when we like started the Yakuza series. It had just like slipped under our radar. And we started with Yakuza Kiwami and Kiwami 2, which are remakes of Yakuza 1 and 2. And they're so good and so funny. Like, they do such a fun balance of like over the top silly and like serious, because of course it's like characters with Yakuza and like, you know, how all that works together. So beautiful, so well done. A lot of heart. So that's also been really fun to watch. It's like watching a TV show. It's really funny because like my dad and his wife play a lot of video games, and they talk about how, you know, it's like stop what is it? Don't bore us, get to the chorus. Like, they're like, get to the action. And it's like, you don't, like, a video game is an interactive book. Like, let it be that. You know, or an interactive movie. I don't know, like, same concept. So anyway, it's like you're just being the main character. And speaking of main characters and books and movies, last weekend my dad and I watched the new Dune movie together. I had heard it was really good. I don't know anything about Dune. I didn't realize it was a freaking full star-studded cast with like Timothée Chalamet, and it's supposed to be Timothée, but and like Zendaya. I had no idea. Jason Momoa. Other people I recognize and don't know their names of. But I really liked it. My dad read the Dune books when he was a kid. He was born in the late 60s and I think the book was written in the 60s. It has a lot of commentary about religion. The movie itself was like gorgeous, so gorgeous. And he said that Star Wars was very based off of this, or like a different like interpretation basically, which I can definitely see. It also speaks or reminds me a lot of Avatar, The Last Airbender. Like with previous lives and like, you know, getting basically like Avatar state and getting to like access the ancestral like lives and whatnot. The politics that goes on. Yeah, just a lot of the themes also felt very Last Airbendery to me. And it was cool having him there because he could give me additional context that you definitely miss if you haven't read the books. And just like the way that it sounds like the movie interpreted things that happened in the books, or like how they're representing things that happened in the books. So apparently the Dune series is really long. It reminds me a lot of Ender's Game in that way, or the Ender series. And after we finished the movie, I immediately went and bought the book. So I'm gonna read the book and see how I feel. I'm kind of glad that I watched the movie first. If I have watched a movie before reading the books, I tend to look more favorably on the movie than if I have read the books and then seen the movie, because I have a very specific vision of how I want a movie to look based upon how I felt about the book and things that were important to me in the books. So, a really good example I have of that is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. I saw the movie before I read the book, and I'm so glad I did, because if I had read the book first and then seen the movie, I think I would have hated the movie. But having seen the movie first, I was okay with what they did, then going and reading the book. So I have a feeling I'll feel that way about Dune, but it made me very interested in it. I haven't read like real sci-fi in a long time, although I would argue that sometimes Stephen King is more fantasy sci-fi than horror, especially like my favorite books of his are less horror, except for Misery. Misery's like true horror and it's so scary. And it was really good. Yeah, so that was fun. I don't see very many movies these days. Like the last movie I saw in theaters was Everything Everywhere All at Once. And yeah, I tend not to see movies unless like a friend is like, I really want to see this, can we find a way to see this? And it's usually like an A24 or anime movie, you know, not usually like a like Blockbuster or whatever. So that's been really fun. Otherwise, yeah, just working on wedding planning, giving Nero a lot of love. He's definitely lonely without Grim, so he's been very loud and needy. Quinn, my baby, has so many bruises because he's always falling, because he's like, he thinks he can walk and he absolutely cannot. He can't even balance standing at all, but he can pull himself to stand, and he knows how to take steps, but he does not know how to balance. But he can crawl everywhere. He still does this weird like lurchy crawl, like where he like puts one leg up and pushes instead of like doing a cross crawl like most people. It's like a half bear crawl, and multiple times he has gotten himself up into like actual bear crawl position, but hasn't actually bear crawled. That's been really fun though, to see him do. Like I love that he's mobile. Oh, that reminds me, we've got baby gates up. Like we blocked off the whole living room, so that's like his safe space. The only thing we need to really do to baby proof the living room still is I have little shelves on the bottom of my desk, and I need to just take all my papers and stuff off of there, because he's in a very like, I want to take everything out. Like he took like my markers out and opened all of he can't like, he's not strong enough to take the caps off, but like to open the container that they're in. And I have pictures that I've been putting into photo albums, and I just haven't finished. And you know, Steve's like, he's gonna ruin all your pictures, you know, so moving that. So instead of like telling him no for a bunch of things, it's more like just making it a yes space so that he can access everything. So I need to clean off those bottom shelves, and then we bought mesh to cover our banister. Like our banister like is, you know, a bunch of, you know, spindles or whatever, and I don't think they're big enough for him to fit through, but they seem big enough for him to be able to like squeeze his head through and then get stuck. And I've seen enough America's Funniest Home Videos to know that that is not a fun situation, and would honestly be awful, especially for a baby. So we just need to put that up. We just got that yesterday. So once we have that up, then everything that he can access in the living room is like safe for him as much as we can. Like obviously my desk as a whole is not safe, but there's literally nowhere else in this house for my desk to go, so it has to be there, and I'm just gonna make it as baby friendly as possible. If he's not already awake, he's gonna be waking up from his nap in like 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna pack him up and drive him over to my mom's. And yeah, I've really wanted to like bring him outside and like have him play in the snow, but there is no snow. There has been no snow this year, which is convenient but also scary. And it's also weird that so much of the country has been experiencing like, you know, I don't know, historic cold or like more snow than they've ever had or whatever. And for the first time ever, it's just way more mild here than it has ever been. We had like one coldish week and that's it. Again, very convenient, don't have to dress him up very much, but also like I want my baby to play in the snow. We don't have a snowsuit, so we'd have to go buy one. The one I did buy him, he never fit into. It was too small, but I got it from Once Upon a Child, so it wasn't very expensive. We did his first art project at home. He does lots of art projects at school, but we did his first home art project where they are going to be like handing out like Valentines and treats and stuff. So like we bought, you know, little Valentines and are going to hand out, or going to like give, there's like peach applesauce in the pouches, and it's like a pink color. And so it's like kind of Valentine's-y, so we're gonna hand those out, but we bought him a little Valentine's box to store things in. I don't know if it's big enough, but I had him, they said like, we encourage your kid to decorate it. Obviously, I feel like the message, because it's for the whole daycare, was for the older kids, but I was like, that's a good idea. Let's see if he'll do some arts and crafts at home. So we bought like stickers and like glitter textured sticker, 3D like foam stickers, and a little bit of paint. So we can like texture with like cotton balls and bubble wrap and stuff. He spent most of the time trying to eat the stickers, and also wanted to eat the paint, and it was not edible paint. It's like non-toxic, washable, but it was not edible paint. But we ended up, we got that done. I should have brought some of his artwork over here. They do, I don't know how they get him to like keep his hands still and stuff. They do lots of like hand and footprint stuff at school. And I'm like, literally how? When I'm touching him, he's like making a fist at all times, will not open it, you know, like, they did like a fun little like stained glass penguin with like tissue paper. That was cute. Yeah, I do love the stuff they do at his school. But anyway, I gotta get going, gotta pack everything up and get him up and whatnot. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, talking about crafting and life. I look forward to seeing you hopefully in a week. And yeah, stay cool or warm. Not sure, whichever you prefer. Stay comfortable, and I will see you again. Bye.